what Tommy DeVito is thinking right now as he is the starter for the New York Football Giants against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Sunday, Truckosaurus. We had a lot of fun with it yesterday, and we had a lot of fun at Daniel Jones' expense and Joe Schoen's expense. And some people took offense to the fact that I posted something on Twitter where because people were saying, I feel bad for Daniel Jones. He does what he's told and he works really hard. And I said, well, so does a washing machine. Sorry, just have fun with it, guys. It's sports. It's football. Get over yourselves. He's gotten paid over $160 million throughout his career already, and you want me to cry for him, Argentina, because he sucked and he took the contract? You take the contract, you take what comes with it, which is the expectation of you actually being an NFL quarterback. I know, call that crazy. I know, call that insane, but that's what you have. That's what you get. I keep thinking about Joe Schoen, though, and I keep thinking about his moves, and I keep thinking about how arrogant he is at times in reference to the way he does things, and it's just bothering more and more. Because John Mara came out, of course, and gave him the old thumbs up, and basically tell him, you know what, you're my guy, which means shit because he did the same thing for Joe Judge until Joe Judge turned around and just screwed the pooch. But I keep worrying that this guy is going to be responsible or in charge of directing this franchise in year 4 when he's done so much to screw it up in the first 3 years. And it was his thought process of signing Drew Lock and not giving that extra money to Saquon Barkley. It's the not even trying to retain Xavier McKinney. It's not even considering bringing back Julian Love when he came back hat in hand after he screwed that he just misread, his agent misread the entire market. And there's a lot. There's his drafts. His thought process of building all these weapons around a quarterback and him telling us that this is Daniel Jones's year when the entire league inside the Giant bubble kind of knew it wasn't. And now we are once again giving this gentleman the keys to the kingdom and saying, pick a quarterback. Here's the problem. You picked Daniel Jones when you re-signed him. I've said that a million times. You picked Drew Lock. You picked Tyrod Taylor. You picked Tommy DeVito. Your evaluation process of quarterbacks is not that great. You picked Brian Dable, who came in here and supposed to be the quarterback whisperer because he did all that work with Josh Allen and all that work in college. But he really hasn't done anything here. And Daniel Jones had a better season as a rookie under Pat Shurmur, who was leading the charge in Colorado with Mr. Sanders and his son. So I get concerned that we're like, hey, what we need to do? We just need to let Joe Schoen do his best.
Your best. Losers always whine about their best. Winners go home and fuck the prom queen.
Do I think he's the best at this? No. People will say, well, look how he nailed the 2024 draft. Yeah, we thought he nailed the 2022 draft as well. And how did that work out? One season does not make an NFL career. 8 games does not make an NFL career. People were praising Deonte Banks all last year, and now he's a bum. And not really, because statistically, if you look at the way he's playing basically the same way he played last year. He's just has not taken that next step. He has not maturated into the position like we all thought he would, but he's still playing at a good level. You look at Jonathan Azuda, you look at McKeithen, you look at Beavers, you look at all the people that he whiffed on, and we are telling him once again here, take the keys to the kingdom and go out and find a franchise quarterback.
My professional opinion that now is the time to panic.
I'm panicking a lot here because he has looked at so many quarterbacks over the last 3 seasons. He made the comment to Ryan Poles during Hard Knocks saying, well, you know what, at least you don't have to look at quarterbacks. You know, you don't have to continue to look at quarterbacks if you actually draft one and cultivate one. You don't have to continue to look at them. Try drafting one. Try bringing in a guy who's not a flame out from 2019 or not 47 years in Tyrod Taylor, or a guy that couldn't cut it at Syracuse or Illinois and is an undrafted free agent. These people that think Tommy DeVito is going to find this magic, I don't want to break this news to you. Tampa, even though they're about 4-6, has a pretty good defense. And we've talked about this before. Tommy DeVito has this elongated pitcher style windup if you watch him throw. And we've pointed it out. We've showed the screenshots. He almost looks like a pitcher in the stretch. And he almost looks like way he steps forward in that throw and the elongated arm motion that he has going over the top. He looks like a pitcher. He kind of has the same style of throwing as Tim Tebow did before they tried to change his throwing motion. And I've mentioned it last year, and I mentioned it over and over again before that Saints game, that the league is going to quickly figure out, you know what you do with Tommy DeVito? You're going to get an extra second or two before that ball even comes out. So if he's already in the position to make a throw and he's already got it locked on a wide receiver, you have an extra second as a defensive back, or almost 2 seconds before that ball even gets out for Tommy DeVito. And there's going to be more balls knocked out of his hands like last year at times because of the fact that the defensive linemen and the linebackers, whoever's blitzing, is going to have this understanding to take a swipe at the ball. It is what it is. And we also saw Tommy DeVito over in preseason against the Home Depot, and he didn't look that great. So now you're going to put him in against NFL players again? It's a recipe for disaster. Not saying that Drew Lock is a better option, because like I've said it before, Drew Lock has never been the question. He's never even been the answer to anything. He is in the same class as Daniel Jones. He's 27 years old. He is a guy that has shown moments. When he had his moments coming in here for that one game, he flamed out. But here's the thing, Joe Schoen. You needed extra money to sign Saquon Barkley. You needed extra money to try to bring in your franchise running back. And what did you do? You gave that extra money to Drew Lock. Not only did you tell us during Hard Knocks that the market value for Drew Lock is only $4 million, you gave him $5 million guaranteed. And now you're telling us that he is not good enough to start, or we're looking at the fact that we're trying to decide if Tommy DeVito could be a bridge quarterback next year as we draft someone. But if you're going to have Tommy DeVito as a bridge quarterback, you might go 1-15 next year. Because Tommy DeVito is not the answer for Daniel Jones. Neither is Drew Lock. But at least Drew Lock has had more moments. People will talk about the 3 games Tommy DeVito won. He won 3 games by shock in the world, and he did have a good win against the Packers. But once the league continuously gets film on someone, you learn your tendencies, they have your understanding of what you like to do. And that's the problem right now with Tommy DeVito. He is not talented enough to be a long-term solution at the quarterback position in the NFL. And the New York Giants, in their infinite wisdom, are thinking to themselves, you know what we need to do? We need to bring Tommy DeVito in and let him start against Tampa. I just wanted to drop the neuralizer because I was hoping maybe Joe Schoen was listening and he can just forget everything that he's done the last 3.5 years, because it's not been good. There should be zero trust factor for this man. He talked about, when he initially came in here, about building this team the right way, building it through the draft, augmenting through free agency, fixing the salary cap, and he's done everything the exact opposite. The worst thing that could happen, we've talked about this before, was 7-2. But no one wants to talk about the fact that after we went 7-2 that first year, we finished 2-5-1. No one wants to talk about that. No one wants to talk about then you won 6 games. And no one wants to talk about then in this season you've won 2 games. So since 7-2, you have won 10 games. This franchise won 10 games. And we sit there and John Mara is asking this fan base to say, well, Joe Schoen's the guy. He's not. Joe Schoen all of a sudden decided in year 2 we're a contender. We can make the playoffs again, even though we're overlooking everything else. So he goes out and does what? He goes out and gets Walla Walla Waller. He goes out and takes Paris Campbell because we need more weapons for Daniel Jones. And we know what happened. We were not a good team. And he wrecks the salary cap in year 2. And then what does he do in year 3 to try to fix everything? He goes out and he signs and trades for and signs Brian Burns when we are not. What about Brian Burns? We're not a defensive end away from being competitive. Your own defensive coordinator told you when he asked him, Joe Schoen, what do you need? What do you want to make this defense successful? 2 linebackers and a defensive tackle. What about Brian Burns? No. You went out and got the same guy that you have on the other side of the field in Kayvon Thibodeau, paid him $120 million, and you're shocked and befuddled that we can't stop the run when everyone's just going off tackle because neither of them play the position well against the run. But you are shocked by that. So you gave $160 to Jones, $120 million to Brian Burns. You didn't stagger the contracts of Andrew Thomas and Dexter Lawrence. You let Saquon Barkley walk. You let Xavier McKinney walk. You let Evan Ingram walk. Evan Ingram couldn't catch a cold here in New York. We've said this about a bazillion times. Couldn't catch a cold here. When Daniel Jones became quarterback, couldn't catch anything. Somehow last year he goes to Jackson. He's in Jacksonville for year 2 and has the second most receptions in NFL history in a single season by a tight end. You have Golden Tate, the Golden Domer, who everyone loved in Seattle and Philadelphia, came here and he was a malcontent. Kenny G, 2,000-yard seasons in the Dome with Stafford, comes here. He doesn't know how to catch. All of a sudden, he doesn't know how to catch the ball. Paris Campbell, career year in Indianapolis, stayed healthy again last year. All of a sudden, he forgot how to catch the ball. Saquon Barkley, 90 receptions his first season with the Giants, with Daniel Jones as the quarterback. Not Daniel Jones, excuse me. Eli Manning is quarterback that first year. What happens after that? Every year his catch totals go down. Why? Because all of a sudden he doesn't know how to catch the ball. Is anyone seeing a pattern? There's multitudes of drops from Darius Slayton and Jalen Hyatt and everyone else. And now Malik Neighbors because nobody knows how to catch the ball. No, because Joe Schoen force-fed us this bullshit that Daniel Jones was an NFL starting quarterback. We've talked about this before. We talked about this a million times. We talked about this in training camp when everyone's like, look at Daniel Jones's ball placement. Yeah, it's great when you have ball placement against the all-cones team. When you actually have to go up against NFL competition and there is a rush, ball placement is still extremely important because it allows your receiver to catch the ball without getting killed and puts them in a position to go and gain yak. And yak is what I want to do when I see Daniel Jones throw. Because when you're not putting your receiver in the position to catch the ball and gain additional yards, you're normally throwing them into contact, or throwing them off to the left or off to the right, or in some way where they need to make some type of spectacular fucking catch so they can literally save Daniel Jones. And that's what we did. We sat there and we tried to save Daniel Jones' career by going against every NFL conventional wisdom and drafting a wide receiver instead of taking a look at a quarterback. You could have gotten a quarterback. You could have gotten a wide receiver. You could have gotten both of these things in the first round by trading back up, or you could have did something like Buffalo did, trade out of the first round and get a wide receiver early in the second. You could have had someone like Ladd McConkey. You could have had someone like Brian Thomas Jr., and you could have had someone like Michael Penix. You could have done everything in a strong wide. This was one of the strongest quarterback and wide receiver classes there has been in a while. So now you are going to wait to 2025 to go to one of the weakest classes we've seen in years because you had the thought process as a general manager to not only wreck your salary cap, let your foundational talent walk, and sign the likes of people like Tommy DeVito and Drew Lock instead of using that additional cash to bring back Saquon Barkley. Yeah, that makes me want to trust this motherfucker. I ain't trusting shit about Joe Schoen. He needs to put the coffee down.
Put that coffee down. Coffee's for closers only.
And he's not a closer. He has the look of a general manager, and he also has the look of a swarmy used car salesman. And that's what he needs to go and do. Because he has made this, you almost wish for the days of Gettleman. Because at least Gettleman did know how to draft. And a lot of the claim to fame with our general manager was the fact that he signed Gettleman guys. Well, he re-signed Brian Thomas. He already signed Dexter Lawrence and Andrew Thomas and Daniel Jones. Well, they're all Gettleman guys. But you also let Saquon Barkley, Xavier McKinney, and Julian Love walk out the freaking door for nothing. But we are supposed to trust Joe Schoen. There is no trust in Joe. T-Brad said it best. Joe must go. Oh, we're gonna have a fun video, I think, on Friday. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And as always, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to ring that bell. You want to know why? That'll be also